You're tuned into the stellar award-winning internet radio station.
You're at the right place at the right time.
Yes Lord Radio.
Hold up. Wait just a minute. It's Roz on your radio.
Keep it locked right here.
Showcase, fellowship, inspire. Showcase.
Hey, it's Roz on the radio.
Showcase, fellowship, inspire.
Yes, Lord Radio.
Now it's time for another Yes Lord Radio exclusive.
Hey everybody, it's Roz on the radio. Thanks again for hanging out with me for another YLR exclusive. My guest today is pastor and author Reva Timms, who's here to share her book with us, When It All Falls Apart, Finding Healing, Joy, and Victory Through Pain. First, Reva, welcome to Yes Lord Radio.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
It's such a pleasure to have you here with us today. Now, this book is not only based on revelations that you received from God, but also as a result of a deep personal pain that you've experienced. Tell us about the book and the type of pain that you've experienced.
Well, the book is a book that really helps anyone that may have experienced traumatic loss, may have experienced betrayal or infidelity of any kind, and it really enlightens people to not become bitter, but become better. And for me, I've experienced betrayal on such a huge level, and I don't know if anybody's ever been through church hurt or infidelity, and then to have the combination of both of them, it's very painful. But through it all, I've learned how to really just trust the Lord through it. And I know that sounds kind of cliche, and people say just trust Him, like that. Yeah. But oftentimes they never talk about the actual process, the pain, the depression, the hurt. They don't talk about that as much as just trust God. It'll be all right.
Right.
But there's a process that we all have to go through.
Wow. Great. Now, this could have easily been a woe is me book or an airing of dirty laundry. I want to know what in particular led to your decision to write about healing and hope, and how did you even muster the strength to turn this into a way for others to find healing, joy, and victory?
Well, thank you for saying that, because for me, when I was going through the pain of having a ministry that we started together, my husband and I, for with nothing, for people, and we grew the ministry to about 8,000. And it was really about the Lord, when we started it, and everything literally fell apart. Our family fell apart. The ministry fell apart. I lost everything. And when I wrote the book, when I was going through that, I was looking for others that had gone through it and were successful. And I was looking in all types of media, trying to find books or something that could help me. But there was no one that was really meeting that specific need as a ministry and being at that level. And I couldn't find anything. So I just started to write. And as I became more whole and healed, the book just really started to flow. And I guess I could say to my surprise, so many people have received that, have gone through that in ministry, and they have stopped. They left their call. They left God. They left what He called them to do before the foundations of the world.
Yes.
And for me, my assignment never stopped, even though everything around me fell apart. God still required me to finish my assignment. He requires all of us to finish our assignment.
Yes, yes. Now, in the early chapters, there's a lot of disturbing realities, I have to say, about your grief process, which is natural. But there are battles with depression and suicidal thoughts, which I would love to discuss at another time. But you talk about moving through these rough spots. One of the things that we find when a person is grief-stricken, of course, they sit at home. They're sometimes in the bed. Sometimes they're in total darkness, and they wallow in that pain. And just as a side note, one of the things that I tell people that I talk to is to get up and do something, get up and dance, move, because it's so easy for people to just stay stuck and they die on the inside. But two things I want to bring up with you. You discuss, this is what you say in your book, when we are most vulnerable, often the enemy will send traps to lure us into sin, which actually, it transcends into the decisions that we make too. But you began searching for something to fill your void. And specifically, you talk about trying to find a male to fill that void. And I love this particular point of reflection. You said, to God be the glory, I could not find anyone. And I thought that was just priceless because we jump into all of these mistakes when we're going through this pain. Tell us how we can avoid this pitfall or even just recognize the enemy for who he is.
Absolutely. You know, for us, when you lose someone or you feel that rejection, most people who have lost someone through death, a spouse or a loved one, they want to connect with someone quickly. If you lose someone through divorce, you want to connect with someone quickly. And that void you have is really not a person. That void you have is a better intimate relationship with the Lord.
Yes.
One of the ways that I was able to avoid that pitfall, because I kept saying, I'm going to find a man. I'm going to find somebody's going to love me. You know, and I was serious, and people were looking at me, is that you, Pastor Reva?
Yes.
Because you're in so much hurt. You want that, your natural flesh wants to rebound with someone who's going to give you that attention and that love. And I had what I call the Chastity Belt Posse.
Mm-hmm.
It was my mom, my sister, those that were in ministry. They covered me, and they kept me in the sense, where are you at, Reva? What are you doing? I was held accountable.
Wow.
You going to the store? Well, I'm going to come with you. And that's what we have to do. We can't just let people who have gone through such tragedy just live by themselves, be by themselves. We have to hold them accountable, and that was very good for me. And then I kept my relationship with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
The Holy Spirit was still very strong in me as far as giving me conviction, still guiding me and directing me. So that really helped.
That's really good that you say that, Reva, because people around us, when somebody is grieving, sometimes the people around us, they're there for, let's say, the funeral services, and then they leave, and then we lose that covering. So that's very important for close family and friends, for you guys that are listening, to still continue to cover that person.
Absolutely. And then the counselors.
Yes.
One of the things that we found, and, you know, my book, you're right, it doesn't air any dirty laundry. It starts off with, if infidelity happened, things fell apart, now what do you do?
Yeah.
It doesn't air everything that happened, so to speak, to get to us that point, but what do you do after that happened?
Mm-hmm.
And the counselors that come into your life oftentimes can do more damage. Because they're like the Job's counselors, or possibly they're not experienced in that area. Because you're saved does not make you an expert counselor. And you have to be able to have those around you that can speak wisdom according to your situation, not a cookie cutter. Just because your husband committed infidelity, or your spouse, or maybe you lost a child when they were young, doesn't mean it's the same type of grief someone else is going to experience.
Yes, that's good, girl. That's good. Now, you talk about also about processing this pain and waiting on the Lord. And I found that interesting as well, that your revelation of waiting is not just somebody sitting around in the bed waiting on something to magically happen, but that's not how it really works. But you talk about actively waiting on God. Share with us more on that.
Yes, waiting on the Lord. It's just like when you go to a restaurant and you have a waiter or a waitress. They don't just sit there and look at you.
Mm-hmm.
They're waiting on you. They're serving you. They're asking, what would you like? What do you need? And while I was going through, my waiting on the Lord was literally waiting on Him. God, what do I need to do? What do you want me to do? How can I please you? How can I walk this through that will make you happy?
Mm-hmm.
And I began to do that, and I didn't just lay stagnant in the gutter or in the hurt. I began to rise up out of it by serving the Lord and walking in what He called me to walk in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's outreach ministry. That's loving on people. That's still ministry.
And those things make you really forget about, all of the pain that you're experiencing, because you're filling your life with something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, it does. It takes your mind off of it, although it's still, the process that's just what it is, a process. And I've learned that the quicker that you just walk in obedience, the faster the process seems to go.
Yes.
It's like taking a test. If you don't take the test, God's not going to pass you. And if you don't pass the test, He's not going to pass you. No matter how much you cry, no matter how much you kick and wail, He still requires you to do what He's told you to do.
So what's in your mind, as it relates to the book, what is most important in moving people out of that pity party of pain, or that pity party of that struggle?
Number one of the chapters is called Take a Look Inside.
Mm-hmm.
Although I was considered the victim in many ways, I had to look at myself and see what was things that I could do better.
Mm-hmm.
What were some things that I could do better in my responses and how I behaved and some of the things. And that began to give me a whole new place of I guess an epiphany almost, because it wasn't just about what the other person did. It was like, now what can I do better? And the second most important thing is forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Forgiveness is the ultimate key to moving forward.
Yes.
And you don't have to hear the person tell you they're sorry in order for you to forgive them. You can forgive them regardless. And for me, the only way that I learned to forgive was by praying for them. Mm-hmm. And I had to pray for them. When I started to pray for them, I began to see them through the eyes that Jesus saw them. I began to have compassion for them. I began to feel sorry for them. And I began to really want to see them be okay and saved. And that's when breakthrough happened in my life.
Wow, that's good. So for people who are dealing with this, for the family members around them, what can family members do ultimately to help that particular person move forward as well?
Let them go through the process. There are times when people are angry that their child died prematurely.
Yes.
They're angry that they lost their home, their car, their job. They're angry. And most people in ministry say, well, you can't be angry. It's a sin. No, the Bible says you can be angry, but sin not. Let them experience that emotion, but let them do it in the confounds of order. Don't let them go off and do anything that will harm anyone, but let them experience and validate them. You have a right to be angry that your wife cheated on you. You have a right to be angry that, your marriage ended in divorce. You have a right to be mad at the devil. Let them have that space, but then give them a space even when they're down to encourage them. When someone in your family is going through depression, don't let them stay in that place too long. Don't let them build a shrine to the dead of what could have been, what should have been. Begin to pull them out and say, I will not let you stay in that. No, we are moving forward, and be that accountability partner, that iron that sharpens iron.
Even in the faith-based community, we lose people who walk in the wilderness, as you call it, and we lose them to, they either turn to the dark side or they either take their own lives. Everybody wants to know, what was that key? What was that turning point for you that said, okay, I could stay in this, or I could move beyond to what you're actually doing today, which is helping other people move forward?
Mm-hmm. Well, everyone doesn't have the thing that I had, and that was 4 beautiful children.
Yeah.
When I was really at the lowest point, when I didn't want to get up, when I was saying, Lord, call me up anytime, beam me up, when I was feeling like that, I thought about my children. And those that may not have children, you have parents, you have family, you have sisters, you have coworkers, you have people's lives that you're going to affect. But for me, it started with my children. I wanted them to see that God was real. Everything around them showed to them that God was not real. They lost a lot. What they thought was real became an illusion. But I wanted to show them that God was still on the throne. And we just walked through that thing, and they, till this today, they know that God is real, because he took us and he brought us up from where we were like in a place of complete devastation. He has brought us over to the other side.
So how are your children now?
They're doing well. My oldest is in college. She's 18. I have a 17-year-old special needs son, and he's doing well. And I have a 14 and 13-year-old. So I have 4 teenagers.
Oh, wow.
And they are healing because they lost their dad. And many don't know, divorce is already a grieving place. And then to lose someone in a physical death as well, it's a double whammy, but through the grace of God, they've been resilient.
Wonderful. Well, Reva, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story and the book with us today. As always, I ask our listeners to, of course, check out my guest. And this book is really a book that people need to read, or they need to share with somebody that's going through this. But I always pose this to my listeners. If there is anyone who is experiencing, any type of pain or loss, go and find out more information about this book. It has great insight, and I love, of course, to hear from you guys, but you can leave your comments on the YLR shout box and YLR's Facebook page. Join me on Facebook.com and Twitter.com/Roz on the radio. Reva, tell everyone how they can keep in touch with you and get their own copy of this book.
Absolutely. Barnes & Noble, as well as Amazon.com and RevaTimsBook.com. And we're also on Facebook, Reva Tims and Pastor Reva Tims, and also Majestic Life. And they can definitely find us there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. This is Reva Tims, author of When It All Falls Apart. Thanks, guys, so much for joining us.
You're tuned into the stellar award-winning internet radio station.
Showcase.
You're at the right place at the right time.
Yes, Lord Radio.
Showcase.
You're at the right place at the right time.
Yes, Lord Radio.
Showcase Fellowship Inspire.
Hey everybody, it's Roz on the radio, bringing you the YLR exclusives from your favorite artist. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook.com/Roz on the radio to find out who's next. You're listening to YesLordRadio.com. Showcase Fellowship Inspire.